most celebrated deputy governors of the Central Bank of Kenya was Mama Jacinta Mwatela, who refused her appointment as permanent secretary, which was far much senior than being deputy governor, because she wanted to bring to light the fact that the printing of Kenya currency was corruptly being done at CBK. As we speak now, Susan, if God willing you go to the office, you'll find that the government paid De La Rue $25 million for printing of new currency. It was not printed, the money was not refunded. Would you help the public to pressure De La Rue to refund the money which was paid?
Thank you very much, Senator Halwale. But I'll be curious to find out how you knew about Senator's grandmother's 2,000 shillings. I'm a Susan, you may respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Co-Chair. To the first question of Honorable Senator Halwale on what regulators should do to ensure that Kenyans have more disposable income in their pockets. The work of a regulator is to ensure that there is stability in a sector. And so the regulators in the banking sector, their first role is to ensure that there is solid stability within the sector, that there are no risks that can in any way affect the stability of that sector, that Kenyans feel safe transacting in a bank, investing in a bank, or even in an insurance agency, because that insurance is still part of the financial sector.
Hold on. Let me help you, Dr. Susan, respond to the chair so that there is no this temptation of, because then when it comes to answering Bonnie's question, utakwama. Okay. just face this way.
Thank you. and so, first, the regulator should ensure there is stability so that there is no run in the sector. Secondly, is to ensure that the players in the sector are putting up policies and regulations that are pro-Kenyans, that ensure that at the end of it all, Kenyans can be able to feel that they have money in their pockets. Thirdly, is to also ensure that they do proper supervision of the sectors, both on-site and off-site, because that is very important, and that also ensures that if there is an issue, it is flagged off early enough. And fourthly, and very important, is to understand that they do not work in isolation, that whereas you are a regulator, you need to do proper coordination with other ministries, departments, and agencies so that there are linkages in the policies and that the policies that are being enacted will be able to support the Kenyan public. To the second question, which is on what we need to do to ensure that probably Kenyans who had the old currency are able to maybe utilize the same. What I know and I understand, and this is in public domain, is the Kenyans were given a period in which they were supposed to be able to surrender the old currency. And after that, I recall I saw Central Bank of Kenya paying a dividend of about between 70 and 74 billion to National Treasury, which was out of the balance of the funds that were not released. And my take on that is it is already an issue that was dispense with at that point and time. To the third question on the issue of Delaru, that probably this is new information to me, that they paid, the government paid 25 million, and whether I can assist Kenyans to ensure that their funds are returned. Possibly, I'm sure if the House approves me, then I will be able to go and find out the status and what steps that the team in Central Bank currently have put in place. Thank you.
So perhaps in summary, you're saying that those people that were not able to take back their old notes, their time back, nothing can be done about it.
That is my understanding based on the information in the public domain.
Honorable Kina.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Susan, welcome, and welcome to the Moore University alumni community. I happen to be the first graduate of that university actually to be elected to a public office. Secondly, you have been nominated to a very critical agency, and I'm glad that the Honorable Boni Kalwale is here. Once upon a time, this organization was not subject, it was exempted actually from public audit. And the position you are about, if Parliament approves you, the position that you have been nominated was part of actually the product, the raft of legislations, as a result of a select committee that I headed in 2010 on the drastic decline of the Kenyan shillings, similar to what we are going through right now. And that gave birth to serious legislative changes within the structure of central bank. It used to be a one-man show, the governor only. There was no board, there was no deputy governor. And I'm glad that today you will be an occupant of that key. You can imagine just a one-man or one-woman entity. That being the case, and having forced the regime then to have central bank back to the public audit sector, there are critical things that you are expected to address if you are approved. And the first question that I want to ask you is, I know part of it you have already alluded to, is Kenya's economy right now is expected to remain subdued in 2023 because of the politics, because of the Ukraine war, because of the COVID-19, and many other factors. Growing at a projected rate of 5%, pulled down by a persistent rise in commodity prices, global events, and high risk of death, stress. I know you have also alluded to that. In your view, what opportunities exist both in the fiscal and monetary front for the government to facilitate an upward trajectory in the economic growth and development? And we must take cognizance of the one that we are seeing already now. I'm glad that Honorable Golale is here and the Chair of Finance in the Senate. We're already seeing emerging and conflicting centers of giving economic information. The Economic Council, Ministry of Finance and Planning, CBK, Ministry of Trade and Investment, and this being a very critical sector, perception is very important. So what will you do? That's the first question. The second question is the issue of mergers and acquisition. You have already alluded to this. You remember once upon a time we used to have political banks. I hope these days we don't have the same. The question is, Kenya has witnessed consolidation of banks and consolidation of banks since independence, driven by different factors. One of them actually was political consideration and many other factors. And the Kenyan taxpayers actually have greatly lost their savings. I'm sure you are aware of what has been happening. In the recent period, the government, through sessional paper number 2 of 2012, which was again a product of what we did that particular time, and I'm glad that the Honorable Bole Kalwale is here, because that was a transition between the old parliament and the old constitution and the current constitution. The sessional paper on the Kenya Vision 2030 and other legal frameworks encourages mergers and acquisitions within the banking sector with the primary objective to develop a sound and resilient financial system. What is your view on how these mergers and acquisitions influence the performance of the service sector, taking into account these conflicting centers, the Economic Council, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade and Investment. One of it right now, you see the potential, the issue of the Chinese city center. A very serious issue, actually, which can have serious ramification, actually, on the confidence of foreign direct investors. How will this influence the performance of the financial sector?
Thank you, Honorable Kenan. That was quite a question. Dr. Susan, you may respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Co-Chair, and thank you, Honorable Kenan. To the question on, the first question is on what are the physical and monetary interventions that will ensure that our economy is on an upward trend. I think I got it right. And my response to this, which I think